on you. Got this feeling down deep in my soul that I just can't lose. Happy Valentine to you, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing tonight? I hope aki umeimbiwa. I hope umependwa. I hope umetumota hata one rose. Na kama hujatumiwa, you know what? Aki, I'll try my best to make sure at least today utakuwa na smile. Happy Valentines to wale wako na watu wao na wale wanaendelea kutafuta character development na kupiga huku left, right, center. Yani happy Valentines to you guys. I'm giving you these flowers, of course, to everybody tonight. Thank you for joining us on the show. This is, of course, TV47 Weekend Edition. My name is Kyallo. It's going to be a great show tonight. Of course, we have the top stories of the day. But apart from that, yani, leo lazima tuongee maneno mapenzi. Kama utaki, please, just sit still. Na just, ngangana tu na the conversation. Tonight, we're talking about, love beyond these roses. What else? What else is real apart from these roses, chocolates? What else makes sense? And you know what? I asked that on my social media earlier. And let's just take a look at some of the, of course, the feedback nilipata pale Facebook, Instagram. All right, wacha tuone. Masi Wanjiru unasema, real love is showing up every day, even when life is hard. Flowers fade, but consistency stays. Ni ukweli, by the way, it's the showing up every day, consistency. All right, let's take a look at another one over here. Kevin Maina 254, you're saying love is peace of mind. If someone gives you calm, that's deeper than any gift. 100%, I swear. All right, you know what? It's going to be a great show tonight. Of course, we have a lovely, fantastic, couple in studio.
Leo nimekuja kwa mpigo. The vibration of love.
Let me just hand this over to you. Kama Salano waja kupiga rose.
Nimecheza kama mimi.
Umecheza kama. All right, guys, welcome. It's going to be a great show. Pastor Sue and Pastor Munene will also be joining us later tonight. Let's begin the show with the highlights. Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has issued thinly veiled attacks at ODM over the battle for the DP slot in 2027. While ODM insists the running mate must come from within its ranks. Grief grips Poror village in Baringo County as families mourn loved ones lost to illicit brew. The deadly concussion has claimed 3 lives in just 1 month and more than 10 deaths in 3 months.
Kiangalia hata hii ni kaburi hatuna usalama kabisa na pombe ndio chanzo ya kila kitu.
Also ahead, a family in Kariobangi, Nairobi is accusing the Social Health Authority of failing to clear a 5 million shillings hospital bill, leaving their kin's body detained at Chiromo mortuary. All right, well, thank you so much. Always a great pleasure and such a joy to have you joining us here on, of course, our weekend edition. Thank you so much also for keeping it TV47. Let's begin with our top stories tonight. And you know what? President William Ruto is tonight caught between a rock and a hard place after Deputy President Kithure Kindiki and his allies told off their allies in ODM to forget the Deputy President's slot ahead of next year's general election. Now, Kindiki, who spoke in Maragua constituency, said he is not intimidated and will not be distracted by the ongoing standoff. A bullish ODM leader, Oburu Oginga, said ODM is going for nothing but the number 2 slot. Apollo Kamau tells us more.
Fire, say fire!
A confident Deputy President Kithure Kindiki stayed put, saying he will not be distracted by political noise, while telling the Mount Kenya region not to be shaken as ODM intensifies campaigns to secure the running mate slot in next year's general election.
Usibabaishwe na mambo kidogo ambayo mnasikia hapa na pale. Ni vile sisi tunajua kuna majira, kuna time ya siasa, kuna time ya kazi.
Kindiki, who was inspecting the Ishagaki-Gikomora-Gaburi Road in Murang'a County, said the Mount Kenya region, which voted President William Ruto to power in 2022, still has a say in government in the run-up to next year's poll.
Mimi najua kwamba tutapanga siasa yetu vizuri, hakuna kitu itaharibika. Tutajipanga tu namna hii mpaka tufike hapo. Ni fire si fire. We talk at the right time. We don't talk all the time. We talk at the right time. And a good leader is the one who knows when to talk.
Kindiki's allies, among them Maragwe MP Mary Wamaua and nominated MP Sabina Chege, telling ODM to forget the deputy president slot and that Kindiki will be Ruto's running mate in next year's poll.
Situka possession inababili. Tunataka hiyo ichukuliwe. Tumesikia ODM wamekuja sana. Si ODM wamekuja sana. Si wanatemea mate hii kiti. We must divide our city, si ndio? Huyu professor. Imagine wewega. Huyu professor watu wache kucheza na yeye. Huyu anajua kazi yake ama hajui?
A bullish ODM party leader Oburu Oginga, speaking during ODM Linda Ground tour in Ukunda, Mombasa County, said ODM, having secured the National Treasury seat, will be looking for more positions as a majority party that will help Ruto win his second term in office.
Tumechukua ile cheo cha finance. Finance ndio moyo ya serikali yoyote. We have taken the heart of the government, yet we came through the back door. But now as we move forward, we are going to negotiate for our party the best for our people.
Apul Kamau, TV47.
Now, a family in Kariobangi, Nairobi, is pleading with SHA to help clear a 5 million shilling hospital bill that has led to the detention of their kin's body at Chiromo mortuary. Now, the family says SHA only paid 90,000 from the 5 million shillings bill. Elizabeth Atino caught up with the family and has filed this report.
Michael Nduta and Dennis sit side by side, perusing through the voluminous pages of a 4.8 million Kenya shillings hospital bill left by their late mother, whose body is currently held at Chiromo mortuary. It all began in October 2025. Mukami's right hand began swelling. A week later, her stomach also began swelling. George Gashara, the deceased husband, rushed her to a dispensary within Kariobangi, but was referred to Mbagathi Hospital in Nairobi. While admitted at the facility for dialysis, the late Mukami's health began deteriorating to an extent that she was resuscitated twice, subsequently admitted at the ICU.
Tukatafuta KU, tukatafuta Kenyatta, tukatafuta Thika, Murang'a, Udhaya. We didn't find any bed. Those are public hospital, hatukupata chance yoyote ya kitanda.
All the public ICUs were full.
Hence, they had to seek an alternative option at the Westland Specialist Hospital in Nairobi. Weeks later, Mukami's health got worse after a blood infection while undergoing treatment and succumbed on the 22nd of January 2026.
Wakachukua mwili wakapeleka Chiromo na wakatuambia, first thing they said, we have to clear the bill ndo watupatie mwili.
The family was hopeful that SHA will cover the 4.8 million Kenya shillings hospital bill, but they were dealt a blow. SHA covered less than a quarter of the amount, and now they are at a crossroads since they believed they would benefit from the universal health coverage promise.
The funny thing is that SHA, the only thing it can pay is 90,000. And our medical insurance.
The family is a clear example of how lack of cooperation between SHA and some private health facilities has left many Kenyans bearing the greatest financial burden of treatment.
So kitu SHA tulikuwa nasimamia kwa hospitali ni kitanda peke yake, which is 3,000.
Inani drain, nikimagine my mama kwa hiyo cold room for 3 weeks. Hatuja manage kumzika.
TV47 reached out to the Social Health Authority. They promised to respond, but they are yet to do so. We also reached out to Westland Specialist Hospital, which maintained that SHA does not cover for ICU services at the facility.
Whether the patient is in ICU or ward, itamlipia this SHA peke yake itamlipia tu only the bed, that is 260.
This family is now calling on the Social Health Authority to intervene on the matter so that they can grant their beloved mother a befitting send-off in Othaya, Nyeri County. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47 from Kariobangi, Nairobi.
Now, Kenya is in the grip of a biting drought. More than 2 million people are struggling with food insecurity and water scarcity as cracked land stretches across several counties. Now, in the north and east, families who depend on livestock for survival are watching their herds waste away. Fatima Suleiman reports.
The bare earth tells the story before the numbers do. Across parts of northern Kenya and the Rift Valley, families are walking miles under the scorching sun in search of what they might probably not get. In Turkana County, residents face acute water shortages, depleted pastures, and rising hunger levels as the dry spell persists.
Kuna wengine wanakula, kuna wengine wanalala bila. Mfuko inaenda kuisha. Ukame iko kali. Maji hakuna, nini hakuna.
Villagers in lowland West Pokot are enduring similar hardship, with 4 months of failed rains forcing families to migrate to neighboring counties in search of food, water, and grazing land. Families in Kitui are counting heavy losses after crops withered due to poor rainfall in October and December, leaving households without harvests and deepening the crisis. More than 2 million Kenyans are now caught in the grip of worsening drought as food insecurity and water scarcity tighten their hold on communities. Across the affected regions, Kenyans are pleading for urgent government intervention as the situation worsens daily.
Sisi ni watu tunategemea tu mvuko. Lakini wakati mvuko sasa ukame inazidi, hakuna maziwa, hakuna kitu yoyote, sisi watu wanaumia sana.
The drought situation has been classified into phases. Mandera is in the alarm phase, while Wajir, Garissa, Kilifi, Marsabit, Kitui, Kwale, Kajiado, Isiolo, and Tana River counties remain in the alert phase. 13 other counties are in the normal phase, but conditions remain precarious. The government says stronger coordination between national and county administrations is critical to tackling the drought and cushioning vulnerable communities.
We are doing everything possible to make sure that we don't lose human life and also that we don't lose livelihoods.
Now tonight, a section of political leaders across the country celebrated Valentine's in their own special way as Kenyans joined the world to mark Valentine's Day. Now, Larry Member of Parliament Mburu Kahangara and his wife Monica Mugure tied the knot in a colourful ceremony attended by parliamentary colleagues and friends. Here's Faith Wangari with more. All right, we'll be having that story in just a few minutes. And remember tonight, Valentine really is our focus. And we want to know, of course, from you, beyond the roses, beyond everything, beyond chocolates, beyond cars, beyond all these gifts, you know, what does this really actually mean for you? What does Valentine's, or actually what does love mean for you? So we'd love to hear from you. Of course, you can interact with us throughout our social media platforms, my platforms. And of course, we'll be getting to that discussion shortly, of course, here on the show. All right, just to, of course, go back to some of the comments that, of course, we had earlier. Okay, we'll do that in just a few moments. We were preparing the next story for you. But moving on, and the Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen today stood side by side with High Court Judge Hilary Chemitei at the grand opening of a privately owned mall in Eldoret. What looks like a celebration of investment has now ignited sharp debate, raising questions of conflict of interest, constitutional boundaries, and the delicate doctrine of separation of powers. Munene John reports. So let's just go back to the story that I just highlighted a few moments ago. And tonight, a section of political leaders across the country celebrated Valentine's in their own special way as Kenyans join the world to mark Valentine's Day. Now, Larry Member of Parliament, Mburu Kahangara, and his wife, Monica Mugure, tied the knot in a colorful ceremony attended by parliamentary colleagues and friends. Here is Faith Wangari with more.
Nairobi was painted red today. Red roses and cute merchandise filled the streets as couples marked Valentine's Day, a celebration of love. But behind the romance, traders say business has been slow. Sales of flowers and gifts have dropped compared to the previous years, with some shopkeepers even shelving unsold stock, hoping to resell next season.
I'm a first-time flower vendor, so nimekuwa hapa. We've done flowers for probably 8 months, so this is our first Valentine's. It was crazy because the prices really hiked.
Maliza leo tunaenda tunaweka kwa nyumba hadi ile Valentine's Day ingine.
Despite sluggish sales, couples were still out celebrating, buying flowers, going on dates and exchanging gifts to appreciate their loved ones.
The plans for today was take my man out, eat something nice, sigideria kila siku ama skuma, at least a change of diet.
Yet for many Kenyans, the high cost of living has dimmed the celebrations. For them, Valentine's Day was just another working day.
Valentine's Day to me is work. It's a lot of work. We were here from 3 a.m.
At Makoyo Farm in Sultan Hamoud, Machakos County, the story took a different turn as couples gathered for counseling sessions and entertainment. Older couples shared their wisdom with newlyweds on how to navigate challenges in marriage.
Katika hali ya ndoa, ndoa ni nzuri na kuishi pamoja ni kuzuri, maana ni Mungu alianzisha ndoa.
From city streets painted red to quiet gatherings in the villages, Valentine's Day revealed that love is celebrated in many ways, not just through gifts and flowers, but through resilience, connection, and shared experiences. Sally Davida, TV47.
Now, ODM leaders are pushing hard for the deputy president position in the 2027 general election, insisting their party must have a stake in the broad-based government to help President William Ruto secure a second term. Now, leaders allied to the ODM Linda Ground Brigade were in Lungalung, Kwale County, where they said in no uncertain terms that President Ruto's running mate in 2027 has to be a woman from the Orange Party.
The war on which party and who should be given the deputy president position in the broad-based government seems not to be ending anytime soon. Section of ODM leaders now are demanding for the deputy president position to be given to ODM and seemingly narrowing down to a female gender in what they say is a strategy to win the majority of women votes come 2027.
Sisi tuko kama chama, we want to strengthen our chama, we want our chama to be strong so that as we go towards 2027 elections, we can negotiate with confidence, with strength, and with all the necessary tools.
Lakini 2032 kiti cha uraisi tunakipeleka kwa ndugu yetu Ali Hassan Joho.
The Linda Grounds team insist that in the current broad-based formation, ODM stands as the strongest party and therefore should be rewarded with the best, as they expressed confidence in their party leader, Dr. Oburu Oginga, in the ongoing negotiations.
Tunajipanga kuanzia sasa na mazungumzo na UDA. Mambo yatakayotokea ni mawili. Mambo yatakayotokea, aidha ODM itakuwa ni yenye kuunda serikali ama ODM itakuwa ndani ya serikali. Asanteni sana.
Tufanye mazungumzo na wakabila. Tufanye mazungumzo na watenganishaji. Wale ambao wanasema wapwani ni wachache, wachana na hao. Tufanye nao mazungumzo.
Further, the leaders criticized ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna over what they termed as betrayal and defiance.
Anavuruga, Asubuhi anasema hii, jioni anasema hii, akienda kulala amesahau anaota vitu vyake. Mara ameapisha party leader wetu leo, kesho anaenda kusema hamtambui kama party leader.
The Linda Ground team continues with its meetings tomorrow in Mombasa County. Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47, Nairobi.
Thanks, Elizabeth, for that. Now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen today stood side by side with High Court Judge Hilary Chemitei at the grand opening of a privately owned mall in Eldoret. Now, what looked like a celebration of investment has now ignited sharp debate, raising questions of conflict of interest, constitutional boundaries, and the delicate doctrine of separation of powers. Munene John reports.
What looked like a routine ribbon cutting in Eldoret is now raising eyebrows. Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen, presiding over the launch of a mall said to belong to High Court Judge Hilary Chemitei. The ceremony raising questions about constitutional boundaries, conflict of interest, and the delicate doctrine of separation of powers. Kenya's constitution rests on the doctrine of separation of powers, where the executive implements policy and the judiciary interprets the law, including disputes involving the executive itself. CS Kipchumba Murkomen, a senior figure in the executive, oversees internal security and national administration, portfolios often subjected to judicial scrutiny. Justice Hilary Chemitei, meanwhile, serves within the judiciary, bound by strict codes of conduct to safeguard impartiality. The optics of the event have stirred debate. While public officers are not barred from private investments, ethical standards demand they avoid situations that may create perceived or actual conflicts of interest. Judicial officers must uphold impartiality, while cabinet secretaries are expected to steer clear of engagements that could compromise their duties. The scrutiny is heightened by Murkomen's past brush with conflict of interest allegations during the 2015-16 National Youth Service scandal, when his law firm was linked to funds from a company later tied to fraud. He denied wrongdoing, was never charged, and courts cleared him.
Judge, I was so impressed, extremely impressed by the fact that your son is part and parcel of your business. Involving our families as young as these young men is part of sustainability of the business as we grow.
Even without proven misconduct, the perception of undue proximity between powerful state offices can erode public confidence. In a constitutional democracy, legitimacy depends not only on legality, but also on visible neutrality, making institutional boundaries as vital as the authority itself. Munene John, TV47, Nairobi.
All right, now a section of political leaders across the country celebrated Valentine in their own special way as Kenyans joined the world to mark Valentine's Day. Now, Larry Member of Parliament Mburu Kahangara and his wife Monica Mugure tied the note in a colorful ceremony attended by parliamentary colleagues and friends. Here's Faith Wangari with more.
Larry, Member of Parliament Mburu Kahangara, led the way for political leaders countrywide on how to celebrate Valentine in a style after he tied the knot in a colorful wedding ceremony attended by parliamentary colleagues and friends. An elated Kahangara and his wife Monica Mugure expressing their joy to formalize their union on Valentine's Day, on a day filled with joy as he walked with his wife down the aisle to say, "I do."
Today is Valentine's Day, and I would say it's the most important day of my life. I feel very, very, very happy.
I chose the Valentine's Day because it is the day of love, and I like the day.
In Nairobi County, hundreds of women under the banner Daughters of a Mountain paid a special Valentine surprise on Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja to appreciate his administration's flagship school feeding program, Dish in a County, which continues to benefit learners across the country.
Hata mimi mipango yangu yote ya Valentine imekula mchanga. Sasa niko hapa na Valentine wangu. You're my Valentines. Oh. My Valentine.
Former President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee Youth League and party gubernatorial hopefully Pauline Njoroge visited the Mogra children, where they took gifts and cooked for the children to show love and appreciation for hundreds of kids at the home.
We decided to come here to show solidarity, to show love together with the young ones of this Mogra's children's home. And it's been a beautiful day.
When you interact with kids who you don't even, they may never know their parents the rest of their lives, you know. They've never known them, they may never know them the rest of their lives. Then you feel, you know, even more compelled to check up on them.
At Pumwani Hospital, nominated MCA Cecilia Wairemo visited the Pumwani Maternity Hospital, where more than 100 new mothers received baby care packages and flowers organized by the MCA and broad-based women leaders.
All right, and let's now turn our focus to some sporting action. And Kenya's rising starlets have been knocked out of the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup qualifiers after suffering a heartbreaking 3-1 penalty shootout defeat to Tanzania at the Azam complex in Dar es Salaam. Now, the two-legged tie finished to 1-1 on aggregate, wiping out Kenya's narrow 1-0 advantage. From the first leg in Nairobi, the Starlets had travelled to Tanzania with hopes of sealing progression, having secured a slim lead courtesy of Elizabeth Mideva's late strike at home. However, despite a determined and spirited performance in the return leg, the match ultimately went to penalties, where Tanzania held their nerve to claim a 3-1 victory in the shootout and end Kenya's qualification campaign. Agnes Ngetich and John Korir are the winners of the 2026 Sirikwa Classic World Cross Country Championship held Saturday afternoon at Lobo Village in Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County. Now, Korir, who is the Boston Marathon champion, finished first in the men's 10 kilometers elite race. This shrugged off competition from Amos Kiprotich and Silas Centura. Now, in the women's elite 10-kilometer event, Agnes Ngetich made history by winning back-to-back titles, while she finished ahead of Mercy Chepkemoi and Catherine Manangole. The 2 kilometers men and women's race was won by Reynolds Cheriot and Naomi Korir, respectively. Now, it was the 5th edition of the annual competition, which is a World Athletics Gold level event.
With everyone, it's a privilege and inspiring a young generation.
Marathon, I was not successful much, but I thank God. The second one, I was not again successful. But I know everything that happens, it happens for a reason.
You know, that's our inspiration, is to ask ourselves, how best do we equip our sports people to excel within the sport and outside of the sport? If you know anything about sport, you know that, you know, a sportsman has a very short span, you know, of productivity.
All right. We'll take a short commercial break, but of course, like I promised, tonight we have a conversation all about love, and it's going to be amazing. Don't go away, we'll be right back.